Thanks for tuning in to Boxing Wave. I'm going to talk about who belongs on the 2013 Boxer of the Year list, alright? I'm going to name a list of candidates, and I'm going to tally up all the comments, all the Twitter responses to this video, and try to come up with, based on the total of number of who votes for who, give them the Boxer of the Year. I'm gonna do a follow-up video and discuss the Boxer of the Year. All right. I'm gonna start off with Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson is he had 4 fights this year, all knockouts or stoppages. He avenged his first loss to Darnell Boone by knocking him out. He knocked out Chad Dawson in the first round this year. He stopped Tony Bellew. He stopped Tavares Cloud. 4 fights, 4 stoppages. Very impressive, all right? Very impressive. You know, he's a champ at light heavyweight division. And I think, me personally, I think he's the #1, you know, when it comes to fighter of the year, right? Another person, Sergey Kovalev, same division, all right? A lot of people want these guys to fight. They both knockout artists. Sergey Kovalev is also coming off 4 wins this year, all right? 4 wins. All knockouts or stoppages. He beat Nathan Cleverly. He just came off a win against Ismail Shalak. A lot of people want these two to fight, but you know, Adonis Stevenson wants more money. He wants Sergey Kovalev to fight more guys. But this is the fight that people want to see, all right? So definitely, the two of them are definitely, you gotta mention them, all right? Hopefully we can see that fight next year. All right, next I'm gonna bring up Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Gennady, gotta bring him up. All right, he just coming off a win against Curtis Stevens. A lot of people thought he was gonna lose that fight because of Curtis Stevens' knockout power. All right, he also fought Ashita this year. He fought who else did he fight? Gabriel Rosado, who was a very respectable fighter, and he knocked out Matthew Macklin with a body shot. Okay, he knocked him out with a body shot, right? So you definitely got to mention a lot of these guys they're stepping up the amount of fights this year. You know, 4 fights. All 3 of these guys have 4 fights this year, and I think all 3 of them definitely should be mentioned in anyone's list. All right. So who else should I mention? Timothy Bradley, definitely. You gotta throw him in there. Candidate for fight of the year with Ruslan Provodnikov. He was actually losing that fight. He came back like a warrior, outboxed Provodnikov, and came back and won the fight. All right. It was a close fight, but I think he won the fight. It was no doubt that he won the fight. All right. He got beat up pretty bad, and he got, you know, his brain rocked. He was stuttering for a couple of months after the fight was over, but he came back and won that fight. And he also beat Juan Manuel Marquez very decisively. It was a good fight. Marquez did have his rounds, but I feel like Timothy Bradley had beat him more decisively than Manny Pacquiao has ever done. All right, so shout outs to Timothy Bradley. I never really was a fan of him, but I respect him. I think he deserves a shot at Floyd Mayweather, who is also on the list. You can't forget about Floyd, because even though he's not knocking these guys out and he only fights twice a year, you definitely got to mention him. You know what I'm saying? He's beating these guys. He's outclassing them. It's almost a shutout with all these guys he fight. It's always almost a shutout. Floyd Mayweather drew the biggest money of the year, highest grossing athlete, drew the most money in one fight with Canelo Alvarez this year, and he completely outclassed Canelo Alvarez and Robert Guerrero this year. So you definitely got to mention him. You got to bring him up. You can't bring him. He's definitely top 1, the best fighter in this area of boxing, and he's still looking good at the age of 36. So you definitely got to mention him. Definitely got to throw him on the list. All right. Mikey Garcia, coming off three wins this year, all stoppages. Orlando Salido was a really good fight, but the only thing, it was stopped because Mikey Garcia suffered a broken nose from a headbutt. He was winning the fight. He knocked Salido down maybe 3 or 4 times. Definitely a candidate also for fight of the year. He beat Rocky Martinez. He's coming off of that win where he knocked him out from a body shot. Okay, I thought Rocky Martinez was gonna give him some trouble. I knew Mikey was gonna win the fight, but he looked good. You know, he went in there and beat a guy that has a high work rate and a tough guy, hard to knock down. And he went in there and won. He also knocked out Juan Man Lopez. So you definitely gotta throw him in the mix. Danny Swift Garcia from Philly. You definitely gotta throw him in there too. You know, he had the 2 fights. He beat Lucas Matthysse, the bad guy, the boogeyman of boxing. He beat him, outclassed him, and he was the huge underdog. You know what? Danny Swift Garcia is always the underdog. He's always underdog. So he came out to Brooklyn. It was a lot of trash talking leading up to the fight. You know, a lot of interviews. You know how Angel Garcia, his father, is. There was a lot of hype behind this fight. And he went in there and beat Zab. You know, he went in there, he went in his building, went in his hometown and beat him. Even knocked him down. Zab did come back a little bit at the end, but, you know, Danny Garcia looked great. And he also beat Lucas Matthysse, knocked him down as well. He's the only person that I feel like that beat Lucas Matthysse decisively. So definitely got to throw him in the mix and fight of the year. Guillermo Rigondeaux beat last year's fight of the year, Nonito Donaire. Outclassed him for 12 rounds. Okay, even though he got knocked down for 1 round, he still outclassed him. Rigondeaux just went from not even mentioned to top 3 pound for pound guys. A lot of people put him at top 3 pound for pound on the list already. Even some people I've seen him put him in front of Andre Ward. All right, so you definitely got to mention him. He just coming off a win against Joseph Abeko where he outclassed him as well. He's always outclassing. He's not knocking guys out all the time, but he's always outclassing his opponents, not even making a fight close. So you definitely got to mention him, all right? Another person, Arizonalara, is coming off a win against Austin Trout where he outclassed him as well for 12 rounds, even knocked him down, almost stopped him in the 11th round. We already know Austin Trout was top 3. He was just top 3 as far as junior middleweights is concerned. You know, he beat Miguel Cotto last year. He got in a fight with Canelo. He lost to Canelo, but he looked great against Canelo. A lot of people think he even beat Canelo. It was a very close fight against Canelo, you know, even though he got knocked out. But Arizonalara went in there and destroyed him. Wasn't even close. So you definitely got to bring him up. And as far as the fight with Angulo, you got to bring that up too. Even though he got knocked down, he was able to face adversity, come back, showed a lot of heart, got knocked down, got back up, and beat him, and the fight was stopped because of, you know, Angulo's eye. So you got to bring up Lara. And the last person I'm going to mention is Adrian Broner. He's fighting Marcos Maidana tonight. So depending on how he looks on that fight, you can also mention him. He beat Garen Reese. He beat Paulie Malignaggi. You know, not really the most impressive, but you should probably mention him only because of the fact that the level of fame and the fact that he almost got a pay-per-view fight this year already. You know, he jumped from, you know, like Guillermo Rigondeaux. He's definitely jumped. He's on a lot of people's pound for pound list already. So you just got to bring him up. You know what I'm saying? I personally don't think he should get fighter of the year, but I'm just throwing him out there because I know he gained a lot of fans. He has a huge following, and depending on how he fights tonight, if he loses tonight, obviously he shouldn't even be mentioned. But depending on how he looks tonight against Marcos Maidana, definitely got to bring him up too. So leave comments on who you think is fighter of the year. I'm gonna do a follow-up video on this after the year is out, and just discuss who got the fighter of the year award, and plus who got the most votes from my video on who got, you know, for fighter of the year. And I'm gonna do a fight of the year right after this video. Okay, so definitely leave comments for that video too. Subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter. The ad is in the description of the video. All right.